Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Daily Combat Podcast. I am Hollywood Matt Connolly with the double biceps. It is in the contract, a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. Welcome to the show, the co-host, co-founder, co-breather of air, co-wearer of clothes. In this very room, it is, in fact, the master of disaster, the king of sting, the Count of Monte Cristo, the twirling of the moustache. Every time I say that, well, I do, that's your favourite. It's my favourite. My personal favourite is, in fact, the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award. As you can see there, it is Tito Ortiz choking the trophy out. It's definitely not a John Cena ripoff with highlighted hair. It is, in fact, Dave Stockbridge. Welcome to the Daily Combat Podcast, which is your own show.
Well, thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome, Hollywood Matt Connolly, as always. And today we have ourselves some very, very special guests. So for those that don't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sabey.
That's right, absolutely.
Oh, and Josh Barker. Josh Barker's here as well. So
she brought Josh Barker with her.
So Josh Barker, under 70 kilo Australian arm wrestling champion. Maybe just throw us up a little double bicep, or a little double bicep, and then just the right arm, just for those. Look at that forearm. That's almost otherworldly. There's aliens that have got less development in their tendons than you do. And so tell us a bit about the Josh Barker story. Like, how did arm wrestling begin for you? Because we're holding, so you're part of the Apex Sport Fest and the AWE 1. So that's at the Nord Oval. That's just a matter of days away. That's why you're in studio today, because down from Queensland. Sydney, sorry, my mistake. So down from the Sydney Spartans t-shirt. So
Sydney Spartans are based in Queensland.
Yeah, I thought they might have been generous and just given you a shirt because you're such a nice guy. And so over from Sydney for the Apex Sport Fest and AWE 1. How is it that you even got into competitive arm wrestling in the first place? Josh, it was that long. I think I went down a tangent. No, because where I was going is because you thought this was going to be hard for you guys, right? Just imagine how hard this is for me. Like, I talk for a living, and this is still hard. So what I was actually where the tangent I was going down, and it was worthwhile because this is the first time that an arm wrestling event of this nature is being held in the cage, and it's an ISCA certified MMA cage, but you're no stranger to the cage, Josh Barker.
No.
Maybe we can just edit that minute or so before.
No, that's all I'm putting in.
Yeah. You're no stranger to the cage, so you've got an MMA background, but then found your way into arm wrestling. Is that right?
Yeah. I used to train at
That was just going to be the response to all that build-up. Yes.
oh my goodness. Yeah, I used to train at freestyle fighting gym, full circle mixed martial arts, and I loved the whole combative like sports. But with my eyesight, it wasn't like something I could pursue any further, and I wanted something that was, still in the combat sports. Saw online, Facebook, Shannon Michaels, Illawarra Arm Wrestling. Yeah. Went to a training session, fell in love with it. Because I was muscly from the bodybuilding background. I thought, how is this skinny dude beating me?
Yeah.
Big biceps, and I was losing.
I know your pain.
Yeah. I just had to know how to do this. And then, went to Sydney Arm Wrestling. I can't stop. That's all I think about.
So tell us about your eyesight, because that was the thing that stopped you going. Physically, you were great in MMA. You could have gone on and been a pro and continued down that path. But your eyesight, you were saying you couldn't get the timing, or you couldn't.
Yeah, it gets blurry after a while.
So after a round or two, you were struggling to remain focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. And could they have just fixed that surgically or anything for you?
Yeah, the surgery was quite expensive and it wasn't guaranteed. And I didn't want to take the risk risk for it. And after you have surgery, you're not meant to get hit in the eye.
Yep.
And in MMA, you might get a punch or two.
Maybe.
It's like not the face, not the eye.
That's
right. And so you've found that through arm wrestling you were still able to keep that competitive, and gives you a reason to train. And did you find that your days from bodybuilding were helpful by the time you kind of got serious about arm wrestling?
I think it gave me the general strengths, but arm wrestling is a different ballpark. It is so different.
Absolutely, yeah, it is. And it's one of those things that you feel it's like a magic trick. Like somebody's doing something that is it's like I know I'm stronger than this person, and they are just destroying me, and I can't do anything. It's like you're finding the techniques and how to keep somebody else out of their strength. But one of the things that really interests me is your style. Is that you're known as a bit of a specialist in one certain technique of the press. And if anyone says who's good at pressing in Australia, that you would be top of the list for that name.
Yeah, and regardless of weight category.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And winning against heavyweights in his own club with this press is just insane. It's explosive. You're off the go, and the people that don't know what the press technique is, essentially you're off with your referee will wind your hands up fairly, and when they say go, you're putting your entire body weight and exploding down with your tricep and your body weight straight to the pad, and it's almost that the match ends in half a second.
Like reverse hammer curl almost. Like that's the kind of like the motion.
Exactly.
When did you discover that you were a presser? Because most people aren't naturally pressers in arm wrestling. And when did you find out that was your superpower?
I used to go in like deep hook, and that was my favorite thing. But I like the way how effective it is, and the press doesn't get tired. You know, you're in a long bicep match, the press is always there. I don't get tired, elbow joints don't get tired, nothing. You know, so it's ends the match quickly. You can be effective, get to the tournament.
Yeah,
it's such a good move.
Did you sort of naturally gravitate towards it? Like I still can't bloody do it.
We all have our styles.
Yeah, I just cannot coordinate the movement of it. But obviously, it's something that came naturally for you. Was it that you went from the hook and you, whoever was instructing you said, "Well, this is how you do a press," or did it just feel natural?
It just felt natural to go in that way.
Right.
You know, some people drag hook, and I started leaning towards going in, and then I just started doing it and loved it.
Do you train any differently for the press? Like, do you train to get stronger specifically in that movement? Because I don't think a lot of arm wrestlers would necessarily be training too hard on that press. So, but what kind of movements are you doing in order to get stronger just for that?
It's a lot of hand. You know, you might not think so. Tricep and a lot of conditioning in your elbow. Press can go so wrong. Like sometimes I get really badly hurt when I press. Someone like Mario or something catches me. It's a long road to recovery. You got to be willing to put your body on the line.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things when we're showing beginners through arm wrestling techniques.
Definitely not start there.
No. First thing, let's get you pressing as hard as we can. No. Yeah, that's probably why I haven't actually learned how to do it because like most of the time in clubs, you'll start with a top roll, and then eventually you'll sort of work to the hook style, and then they'll sort of be like, and there's this other thing called the press, but it does come with a risk. And it really does carry an element of danger with it, where you can get hurt if it does go wrong.
And have you had any of those injuries kind of emerge?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. And what's the worst of them?
It was actually versus in Oz. From Sydney, and I tried to press that side of my shoulder, and it just takes long road to recovery, 12 weeks longer.
Wow,
Got to be safe.
Elbow that was
elbow. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I actually went and got checked, and it was bursitis or something in my shoulder. Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember explaining it. Yeah, but something was inflamed and it was causing impingement. Yeah, and
ouch,
takes you out of it for ages. You got to be safe, and
it does absolutely. Were you able to arm wrestle at all during that time? Or
I wasn't meant to, but I kept going. I kept going. I can't help myself.
That's right. And
next week back to pressing.
Yeah, that's right. You won't be able to arm wrestle anymore. So go straight to arm wrestling.
And you've now been introduced to the sport as well. Were you involved in the sport at all beforehand, before you guys knew each other, or?
No, I just thought it was like a hobby that people did at pubs and stuff like that. And then I found out it was a sport and all the technique and how much there is behind it. I was kind of shocked and surprised, but kind of fell in love with it at the same time. I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So you guys get on the table and train at home? Is that what's kind of going on a little bit?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And getting stronger yourself?
Yeah, trying to.
Incredible.
Improve, yeah.
Left-hand specialist.
Wow.
Really? Yeah.
Pretty strong. She might not look it, but she's got some power.
Are you naturally left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Oh,
so
there you go.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know
It's
how it
weird.
works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain style that you've started to gravitate towards?
At the moment, just top roll, but I want to be able to press.
Right.
I want
Like
the
a
We
power
all
couple
do.
thing.
Yeah.
We both want to go on a
You can get like matching T-shirts. Just
yeah, exactly.
Mr. and
Yeah.
Mrs. Press.
Yeah. was the goal. Yeah.
That was great. So top rolling at the moment, that seems to work well for you. Do you ever go in the hook at all, or you just feel like, hey, I'm going to top roll, and then if I have to, maybe I'll start working towards a press sort of thing?
Yeah, sometimes during training I just practice with the girls trying to hook and stuff like that, just trying a bit of everything and getting comfortable in all sorts. But at the moment, mostly just hook. Oh, top roll, sorry.
Top roll.
The top. And what's the female scene in Sydney like at the moment? Is it growing, do you think, or?
Yeah, it's growing. At the moment, it's just the three of us. Every now and then a new female comes along, but yeah, at the moment it's just the three main that it goes continuously week to week.
Yeah.
Who's the other ones that you've got in the club there?
Steph and Yu Ying.
Okay,
Do you
great.
know Bowen's girlfriend? Left Bowen Cantado.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Stephanie, she won nationals recently.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Yu Ying went up a weight class
Yeah.
Wow.
and did pretty well. Third,
She
I
came-
think.
No, I think she came second. Actually.
Second.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Very strong women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
It does seem to be. We sort of have people that come through the club, and this is the same with male or female. People sort of gravitate in for a while and then they'll float away.
Yeah.
And we had at one point about 7 girls that were training, and it was going really well. I think the majority of them were partners of guys that were coming along, and then sort of the guy lost interest, and then obviously that they've stopped. And at the moment, we've only got Paula that's every now and then at the club. But yeah, it does seem to be that we'd love to have more females in the sport, and yeah, it seems to be one of those things that it's hard to keep them, like, to retain the interest. If they're coming along as part of a couple, it does seem to be that if one drops away, the other one goes as well.
Yeah.
Do you think why that might be? Like, do you think that is there anything that arm wrestling can do to be more inclusive of women, or to make it easier, or is it just one of those things that's kind of like a boys thing anyway, or?
At the moment, I think it's a bit of a boys thing, but I can think it's definitely able to change and involve more women.
Yeah.
I'd say, just need more women to know more about it, I suppose.
Yeah, just exposure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think that's the same with most of the sports. Like, we had Nora Schultz in just before, and she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. And, it's like Jiu-Jitsu is growing immensely at the moment, the grappling sports. And it was prior to that, you had the MMA that really seeing it go from the ground level and becoming one of the superstar sports of the modern era. So it seems to be that like, women will come along as the sport grows as well. So when the sport starts reaching a certain point of exposure, then that's when more people are finding out about it, and more people are like, oh, this is a thing. I still get people going, oh, is arm wrestling a thing all the time? And it's like, yes.
That's why we've got the shirts.
That's right. Here, watch 20 minutes of video.
And do you find that, like, when you're in conversation with other people, you kind of end up just naturally talking about arm wrestling and kind of like being the arm wrestling prophets and
It's so hard to explain to a new guy about, like, not using your body.
Yeah.
They think it's about, like, putting your hand on your head and just using your arm.
Yeah.
And like,
just,
you're cheating, and it's so hard to, like, tell. No, I'm not.
I wonder where that came from, because that is a popular misconception, bit of an urban myth, isn't it? That you turn arm wrestle, you got to basically be on one leg, have no balance, only use side pressure, and be outside of your body at all times.
Be in the most dangerous possible position.
Just be ready to break your arm.
Yeah,
Basically.
right.
The least safe position seems to be. Maybe that's why arm wrestling had that bit of a reputation at one point as well.
Yeah, there's so many people, like, if you start the conversation about arm wrestling, they'll either say, oh, is that a thing? Or they'll say, I don't want to do that, I'll break my arm.
Yeah.
And because people aren't doing that, just literal side pressure, and they'll get the other person to do that as well. If you're doing that, there's only one of 3 things that's going to happen is you're going to pin them, they're going to pin you, or one of your arms is going to break.
Pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got that much force that's going through.
Humerus bone, yeah.
Exactly, and it's all on the bone. So I always say that to people, like, if they ever question, what I'm doing, it's like, well, actually, that's probably the most unsafe and most dangerous way to do it, the way that you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about that safe position. And as you see, like, in the upper levels of professional arm wrestling, how often do you see an injury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's one every 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Michael Todd, and he used to pull in, like, the worst possible positions for so long and so many years at an elite level before he had an arm break. So Yeah, it's one of those misconceptions that people have, and I think it's because people are getting on the kitchen table and arm wrestling their friends with no idea what they're doing, and somebody gets hurt. It's the same. I always use the analogy of having a boxing ring and just putting two people in there who've never boxed and being like, yeah, well,
Punch on.
yeah, have a go at each other there, see what happens.
Yeah.
Someone's got to get hurt. It's the same thing for arm wrestling. If you don't know what you're doing, yeah, the risk is just enormous. But with proper technique, I mean, you know, the stress just goes on mainly on the bicep, and you just get pinned before anything can happen. So obviously you've got the soft tissue injuries, joints, and as you were talking about before, bursitis and just overuse injuries that come with any sort of grappling sport. But in terms of major injuries, I mean, it's one of the safest sports out there, you could say.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get that specialised conditioning, or for both of you, really? At what point did your arm stop hurting after training, and you were able to actually go to work the next day and do stuff?
Still hurting now.
Or is that not still aching?
Definitely.
Still aching for you, Ella?
Yeah.
You just go home, you can't open jars or anything. So, yeah.
I've had that, man.
Definitely.
You're going home and you're driving like this. Someone cuts you off, you can't even like follow up. But about 2 years, man. Only because I tried to train like just side pressure, open hand side pressure, and it took a very long time to get where it's like no matter what position I'm in now, like my elbow holds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been training in arm wrestling now?
5-6 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's been your observation of the sport in that period of time and how it's grown? And now,
Unbelievable, man. Our club, like everybody's club, I don't know what your club's like, but 40, sometimes 50 people at the
it's
club.
just Matt and I.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
No, it has
Lots of
grown.
room for improvement.
Yeah, that's right.
So you got 40, 50 people turning up now
Yeah,
at a training
sometimes,
session. Incredible. And when you first started, what was it like then?
I think a lot of people have like an ego thing. You get the big guy that comes in, he loses to the little guy, and he either can't take it or he wants to know like how I was. I was a little guy and I wanted to know how I was losing to him.
Yeah.
And fix it, but you get the guy that's just like, I can't take this and doesn't come back.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's
I'm that guy. and did you start competing pretty much straight away, or
Yeah.
was there a time before you started thinking about getting on the table and competing seriously?
every match I was versing Oz, all the top guys from the beginning.
Yeah.
I just kept losing for years, but I got to a point where I stopped losing.
How long did that take?
Oh, with Oz only recently.
Really? Yeah. Yes. It took 7 years. I climbed the mountain.
And with Mario, never. Bit of a tank.
A slight weight discrepancy between the two of you there. But we're going to see you in a matchup against one of our local local guys here, the number one rank in South Australia, Taran Broad. And
The
this
Tyrannosaurus.
Tyrannosaurus, that's right. This should be an epic battle. You guys have matched up a few times before in the past, most recently at Garage Wars. And is that correct? That was the most recent one?
Yep.
What is this, 3-1, I think?
3-1 Taran's way, yeah.
That's right. So Taran is very much a strength-based, powerful.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Whereas, it's almost and we keep likening this when we do our promo stuff for your match, is that it's speed versus power.
Yeah.
And it feels that way very much, that, the match is going to be won or lost in that first second. You either got to press him or he's got to stop it, and then he'll work his way through. But, it should be exciting.
Is that how you see the match maybe panning out, or have
I
you got
think I
other
might-
plans in mind?
I think I might shock people. My power is
Ah.
it's not low.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Taran is definitely the favourite. You got to give it to him. He's got arms like bigger than Levan's.
It's like a miniature. It's the downside,
Yeah,
like it's
man.
just that scaled down. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Every time I see him, big shoulder. He's built for arm wrestling, isn't he?
Yeah.
Besides the short forearm and short hand, but he's really worked on his weaknesses.
Mm.
And man, he's force to be reckoned with. But I think I've got him this time, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
And in your matchups previously, what was it that you identified that you thought, you know what, if I just get that right, maybe that's going to be the difference next
I
time?
think his cut was just way too strong. He was
Okay.
turning my pronation over. I couldn't compete with him. He was just too powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it was more the speed versus strength. But I think I've got some lanes where my strength might be able to hold him at. Watching Hamza and stuff, I've got some ideas.
There you go. So you've been tuning in and watching some of the live streams.
Hamza, Laz, seeing how they do it
Yeah.
and just practicing that at training.
And that's interesting because you've got more reach, and you
do,
are a
yeah.
lankier kind of athlete,
Yeah.
and Taran's very compacted, and
Yep.
so you saw these other taller competitors and kind of
Took
some notes. There you go. Very
right.
interesting. Yeah. And do you do a bit of that normally when you're competing? Do you check the footage or the available imagery out there and see what might be a pathway forward?
I have been starting to be more versatile. Before I was just a press.
Yeah.
But I realised you have to have other options. You can't always go your way.
Mm.
And I've been working with the boys at Sydney and trying to develop my top roll, my hands, my pronation, and it gives my arm a rest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just stops the elbow hurting quite as much.
That's right. That's right. It does seem to be the way for the trickiest matchups are when somebody can either press or their top roll, and when they set up, they're sitting in the middle.
Yeah,
you don't know which way they're going,
Yeah.
and you're trying to watch the shoulder as to is he going backwards or forwards? I don't know. And then it's go, and you've guessed wrong, and you just get pinned. It's damn it!
It really is won and lost in the first few minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what is life at home? Are you just constantly talking about arm wrestling? Is that what's going on, Ella? Or do you get to a point where there's too much arm wrestling in our lives? Maybe
Not for me.
Not for you.
Yeah, it's constantly with arm wrestling. He wakes up, first thing it says.
Yeah, really.
I'm showing in matches. And she's
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So when you're consuming arm wrestling content, apart from Hollywood Matt Connolly's YouTube channel, of course, are there any others that you kind of would go to and check out and kind of get your news from? How are you keeping on top of the arm wrestling world at the moment?
I like Ryan Bowen stuff, Lockie Adair's, and Voice of Arm Wrestling.
Yeah.
Yanis and Coach Ray. They have a lot of helpful tips, man.
Yeah.
They're my main ones, yeah.
Yeah, and who in terms of an athlete at the moment, do you kind of see somebody who's you think, well, that's a potential competitor for me in the not too distant future? That's a standard I'd like to shoot for. Are there any kind of names or basically anybody you want to call out right now?
I do want to get up there, man. I don't think I'm at the world elite yet, but I want to get up there where I'm recognised, internationally. If I can get in the top 20, top 15, and just keep going, I do want to be world champ someday.
Yeah.
I truly do.
Yeah, that's right. Is that in the under 70 division you've been
Under
looking
70, yeah. I do think I hold my weight very well.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone that sees me you look 80.
Yeah, you do.
And I'm 68, 66, whatever.
You don't have any legs, do you? We wheeled you in here earlier.
Yeah. Made sure the chair height was right, so we're covered. So my legs are 17 inch and my forearm about 15.5.
Yeah. And did you say your forearm measurement is the same as your bicep measurement?
Oh yeah, within a half an inch. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that just shows the development you've got in that forearm, and when you can
Yeah.
see when you pose it, the pronation muscle is just
When it gets pumped, it looks
that's out of
crazy.
control. It's just insane. Yeah, absolutely. We
I wish we had some weights here now. Just get a little pump just so people can see what we've seen.
That's right. But it should be a crazy match with you and Taran this weekend, and it is. I think the fact that maybe Taran is feeling very confident that could be his undoing is that. Oh, well, I've beaten him a few times before.
Being the underdog can help, can't it? Yeah.
That's right.
I have nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Going in all that.
Exactly.
And I've got
right.
a lot of my team here. I've got all the boys coming up in my corner. So
That's right. That's right. It'll be a big following, and it'll be an amazing event. It'll be on Ryan Blue Bowen's YouTube channel. And everyone that is interested, actually, your match will be streamed free. It'll be one of the free matches that people can see. And so it'll be Saturday at 12 p.m. Adelaide time, which I think in the US is about 8 p.m. But if you are watching from that area, just type in Adelaide and then your time zone, and
It'll come up.
That's right. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think the second match off the back will be yourself and Taran. So
awesome. Get the crowd going.
And
right.
you have you got any bold predictions for any of the other matchups that might be happening?
Honestly, I love this event because none of the matchups are I don't see any of them white walk. I don't think anyone's mismatched 3-0. I reckon all of them. I couldn't put money on it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
Quintal's coming out of retirement, unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's
Good
I'm
versus
so
Mario.
excited. So excited for that. match.
Yeah, that's going to be massive. That's a hard one because you just can't answer the question.
I don't
You
know.
need this to happen. There's no empirical evidence otherwise available to us other than Gunter's was great, and you know Mario's on the pathway to greatness, and you don't know where that intersection exactly happens. But either way, one of those big men are going to be walking out of the cage with a strap across their shoulder as heavyweight AWE champions. Right. And we've got Lachlan Carpenter, who will be pulling Ryan Blue Bowen afterwards.
Yeah.
So this is we've had to mix it up a little bit because we have Brett Coots, who was coming over and can't make it now, and so Ryan said, well, you know what, Lachlan's been priming himself, and Lachlan's the current open weight champion at a national level, and was looking to test himself against former champion Brett Coots, and won't get that chance, but he really has to step up in order to prove himself against Ryan Blue Bowen. So so that'll be interesting. Will a slightly fatigued Ryan Blue Bowen be able to hold back the tide against the young man, Lachlan Carpenter? Yeah. So that's interesting. Where would you see that one go?
Ryan's endurance is insane. I pulled him after like a couple of hours, and his strength like never drops off. It always is at a high level, but I got to back my boy Lockie, of course.
Okay.
You know, he's from Sydney, man. I got to back him.
And Ellie, you going to go the same?
Yeah, definitely.
You're going to go with Lachlan?
Yeah,
I guess you got to see him in a couple of weeks' time, so you better, fair enough.
We'll probably see him tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we don't know when this will be released.
Oh, right, it's not pre-recorded at all.
One of my favourite matches is actually the juniors.
Yeah.
Damien Hamza. I wanted that. I've been wanting to watch that for ages. See,
yeah, that's right.
And there's a few bets going on that too.
Have you pulled both athletes?
I have.
So you're one of the few people in the country that has actually pulled both athletes. So
I think Hamza is very, very underrated.
Yeah. Well, that was our feeling as well.
Especially when he beat me 5-0.
We felt that we could feel Hamza getting stronger by the week. And I'm sure Jamie, like a lot of these young men, are the same. You know, they're seemingly putting on 5 kilos and growing an inch every week. And but with Hamza, the growth was just amazing.
Yeah, it's almost visually he was getting taller every week
as he's warming up with you. He's just like rises, getting higher, having to adjust your grip. It's kind of amazing, and that's going to be a super interesting. We've got to go with Hamza on that one.
Yeah, my money is literally on Hamza.
It's literally on Hamza. And how are you going with that?
Bro, I don't know.
Most underrated against maybe the most. Well, that's not called Jamie overrated. I think he's done a lot to get his reputation. He's gone overseas and done a fair bit. But is he overrated? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Well, that's not.
We don't know.
I've never been on the table with Jamie.
I felt him at over the top and couldn't move me, and then I felt him in New South Wales, and it's getting closer and closer. James, he's putting in the work, man. He's like literally obsessed with the sport. It's like a mental problem.
There's going to be a prescription drug out for this very, very soon. The doctors are just going to be throwing it around. And Ellie, you're going in the same way?
I don't know. I don't think I could pick a side, honestly.
Okay.
So Hamza for you.
$50. And who else have we got? Hollywood?
It was
Lass and Tom.
That's true, yeah. We've got the under 90 kilo champion Tom Demkowski, and he is taking on the number 2, currently ranked number 2, the Berserker last month, who was ranked number 1 until Tyrannosaurus Broad recently took that title back off of him.
Yes.
But that should be really interesting, actually. Yeah. I think Jake Ward explained that matchup as it's like it's Tom pulling as smooth as silk and versus the rough as guts, the Berserker style. Yeah. So it should be a crazy matchup there.
Lass is so explosive. You just don't know. You don't know what he's going to bring to the table, and Tom's a bit of an unknown quantity as well. You know, apart from his recent victory, there's not a lot known about him, but that was enough for us to pay attention and know that he was at that level now. And as a matter of fact, I think Laz might have called out to him and to Christian Bowes.
He's called every single person out.
Yeah.
He's called Josh out as well.
Yeah. He did. Yeah.
That's unreal, mate. That's a good attitude, man. Just go for it.
Yeah,
sure.
that's right.
it. Yeah, rather than sort of sitting back and going, yeah, maybe, and he's like,
Yeah.
no, I want to beat them. He had a-
Take
he had a-
him, and him. Yeah.
His list was, I want to beat Josh Barker, and then I want to beat, who was it, Christian Bowes, and I want to beat, so he had
He had a plan.
a list of people that he wants to take out, and it all, I think it culminated with Ryan Bowen
Yeah, at the end of the road.
That's
That's just
right.
Ryan Bowen waiting at the
at
path.
the top of the
Yeah,
mountain.
standing across the table. Yeah.
But yeah, we have got Christian Bowes. He'll be taking on one of our local boys, Stephen Carroll.
Stephen Carroll.
Yeah, so it was a last-minute replacement match as well. Unfortunately, Brett Coots was originally scheduled to face Christian, but unable to attend the event. Yeah, so it will be a left-handed match. Stephen is looking very powerful lately and sitting at 135 kilos. Benching 180 kilos. Yeah.
Arm wrestling, curling, 70
70
kilos.
kilo dumbbells. Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be interesting to see. I believe that they had a match up in Canberra. It was either in Canberra or in Sydney whenever Stephen had a trip through there once, and he had a bit of a match with Christian. Said it was reasonably close. So, he's out for revenge, I think, and he was desperate to get that match up. He was saying, because originally it was Las Motha that was going to be facing Christian. And then Lass injured his left arm. And so Brett Coots said, I'll step in. And then unfortunately, Brett couldn't make it. But the whole time, Stephen was there going, I'll take the match. If anyone gets injured, give me the match. And then when Brett got the match, he was like, you said you were going to give it to me. I was like, I didn't mean to not do you. Like,
You guys have adapted really well, I think.
right.
Hasn't gone your way like AWE, at the start. All the matches drop out, but you guys, you know what I mean?
It's been
Adjusted really well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've lost three main events.
There's only two the world knows about,
That's
but there was a third in
There was a
between.
secret somebody that will be at the second event.
AWE too.
Yeah, that's right. And
On the Gold Coast.
nobody knows who that is. So everyone is speculating.
Even though Josh Parker's
I know.
asked 4 times.
That's right. Even last night, he's like, I won't tell anyone, just tell me.
But big announcements coming with respect to that, of course, which the world will find out more on Saturday. So about AWE 2. We've got some very exciting news with respect to that. So the great thing is that anybody who does win a title at AWE 1 will have to defend that title within the first 6 months. So by AWE 3, you'll see all of these champions back on the table. And of course there's a pathway to other belts that'll be opening up as well. So we'd really like to see. For instance, in a lightweight category, the under 70s category, you're at the point now where really we've got to go international in order to find someone who's going to be competitive, and so that opens up. It's hard to have a lightweight title when you don't really have that. It would be great if we had somebody for you to compete against in the same way as some of these guys are trying to find their level. Well, we know that your level's somewhat higher than everybody else's at that. So we're going to have to find some crazy Kazakh guy, or he's just training in the mountains right now.
Just doing one arm chin ups non-stop.
I have a question. What do you guys think about women, putting women on the AWE at some stage? Someone like top guys. There was this girl from Melbourne that beat Steph. And Steph national champion, and I know she wants revenge, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be open to putting on the best matches we possibly can, and that's what we've been doing for this card. Is trying to find what's the most entertaining match that we want to see.
Yeah, what's the most interesting matchup?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if it emerges that there's two girls that it's like, oh man, I'd love to see that match. We will be doing what we can to get that ending. But
I think what you'll find is there's a common thread amongst most of the matchups, and that there's some kind of story, some kind of rivalry, some kind of history. So there's yours and Taran's, and it's not like for like, and that's kind of interesting. Taran's got the weight advantage. You've got the speed, he's got the strength, but you've met up against each other. It's been close, could go either way, and now there's an opportunity to kind of work this through. And like you say, perhaps you're the underdog walking into it. So if you walk away with that big victory, all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, you've blown the doors off the idea of a lightweight, So, but there's that, and then we've, of course, with Mario and Gunter's, Gunter's, there's a bit of a backstory with that as well that many people mightn't know of, and that is that Gunter's has been slowly training in the background for some time. And he's got 2 teenage boys that are massive Latvian giants, just like their dad. And they've been dragging him down the gym, and he's been doing a little bit of weights.
He's
and
looking big.
Then he's returned to the table, and he's been doing, and he never really lost much strength, it would appear. And then, of course, one of the reasons why Gunther's dropped out of competition was because there wasn't much competition left for him. So for Gunther's to see a rival perhaps that's worthy in Mario was really interesting to us. Now, we had a competition in this very building just back in October, and Mario was slated to appear, and Gunther's would have come to challenge Mario in that situation. Oh. Now, Mario wasn't able to make it, and Gunther's came and was quite disappointed that Mario wasn't here. So this is the matchup. This is Gunther's has been mentally preparing for this for best part of 6 months now. And in his mind, this has been a long time coming. So it's just the rest of the world doesn't know much of that backstory. And, of course, Mario, during that time, has kind of proven himself to be the man to beat, and now you've got Gunther's, who was that man, thinking, maybe it's time to see how the old man goes.
Yeah,
so will a bit of ring rust be the difference, or will, is a champion always a champion? And does Mario to be the man got to beat the man? And but that's for the heavyweight title. So most of these matchups do have a really good story that's attached to them. Now even the stand-in match with Stephen Carroll and Christian Bowes, there was that meeting in Canberra, and Stephen was a lighter, smaller version of himself then, and since then he's probably put on another 15 kilos. And is now a much stronger, bigger version of himself, and so maybe that'll be the difference on the table. So, very intriguing matchups, and that's part of what we hope will be compelling viewing. Everybody wants to see a war.
100%.
Yeah. So in terms of having women on the card, it's sort of like if there was a storyline between two combatants, regardless as to who they were, male or female, but it's like, we're not going to put girls on just for the fact of we just put a girls match on. It's like we want to see something we really want to see, and it doesn't matter, whether or not they're male or female. But it's like if you had two girls, and it's like, oh my god, I really want to see this match between these two. We'll get it happening. But just to do like a token, I guess we'll do a lightweight match. I guess we'll do like a this sort of a match. It's like we don't want to do that. We want to just put the matches on, the best possible matches that we want to see. So
high standard.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, if there was a Ronda Rousey type moment, to happen in arm wrestling, we'd very much want to be a part of that. So, but at this stage, it's hard to find too many, and in the same ways that perhaps it's hard for you to find a lot of competition in the club. It's hard, until there's that volume coming through of quality female competitors, it becomes difficult to understand at what point they find their way onto the stage. So. Yeah, but I think that's part of the future.
You saw it the same with the UFC.
Until that, Matt and I are competing in the Trans League.
I'll join you.
Damn it. It's the No Josh Barker League.
That was our chance. That was our chance of gold.
You gave it away. Could have been a contender. Yeah, that's it. But you saw the same with the UFC, and in terms of the female being able to sort of get to the level where they would have an interest enough for the UFC to be okay. The standard has risen to the point where we can find a superstar and we can put on these matches that people really want to see. We're not doing it just for the sake of doing it. It's like we really want to see this girl versus this girl, and that's the sort of the same thing that we want to do. It's like the best people, the best matches we can possibly put on is what we want to do. So. And you will be one of those this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you feeling going into it?
I get the phantom pains.
Yeah.
You feel, you're fresh and stuff, and then right before the match, couple of days, you start getting sore. And you're like, stop it,
Yeah. So that come from? You've been wrapped up in cotton wool for the last 3 days. What's going on?
Better not act up on the day,
Yeah.
Do you ever sort of get that nervous anticipation?
Oh, yeah, I do. It's very hard to intro. I think the hardest thing as an arm wrestler is trying to peak. I've got Lockie Adair as my coach. He's took me to the next level, but trying to find the right, when you take too much time off, you feel like your D trains, but if you train too long, like and you never think you've done the right amount of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to find that balance point.
And do you have to diet down, or you kind of just walk around?
I just eat my
around
KFC, and
it doesn't no difference
Doesn't
whatsoever.
matter.
Which
Yeah.
must be easier for you, Ella, because with people dieting down, they tend to like their mood swings and they're in terrible emotional states and whatnot. Or is he just like that all the time anyway? Yeah, we'll take that as a yes.
And that's it for Ella.
But coming into this matchup, any thoughts? Like, have you got a game plan in mind already after watching those videos of the boys enjoying some success over Taran?
Yeah, it's going to go outside.
Yeah.
If he's watching, he can know it's going outside, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This angle will not open up.
Wow, there
Wow.
you go. You heard it here first. It will be in 2 days' time. He's super excited to see this match. It's going to be incredible. It's so good to have
And
you
if I
coming
get him in a
over
good
here for this.
position, I'll hold him. Just look at the camera.
Wow.
Maybe not.
Well, maybe if you're up, say 2-0 or something, you might be in that position. You're like, I'm going to freestyle a little bit here. But incredibly strong Taran. It'll be a great match. And there's a couple of matches that we haven't talked about yet. I just wanted to get your thoughts on quickly.
For sure.
Okay.
Adam Laura and
Adam
Marcus
Laura.
Atirai.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So some of the biggest men in Australian arm wrestling are coming around.
I've gripped Marcus once, and I couldn't do anything with him.
Wow.
But Adam is very technical.
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets the shoulder on the table, but he's a guy at training in Sydney. Mario and Adam, the guys we go to when we want to learn stuff or what to do in certain positions and stuff. I think Adam will, he's too versatile. He can do anything. So if Marcus has got something, he'll lose, he'll adapt, he'll do something else. Yeah. Yeah. So I do think Adam's going to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be
That's
amazing.
interesting.
And he is strong, man. His hand has leveled up. He's taken it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Wow.
I can promise you.
And we've got the main event. It's Ryan Bowen versus Matawaringi Hetamoris.
Well done.
There you go. Probably said that completely
Can you say it again?
wrong. Say it backwards. It's
Sounds the
Mr.
same.
Hetamoris. That's a little easier. But so first, so it'll be 6 rounds. How do you see that one going?
Have you gripped him, by the way,
with-
Matai?
No, I've met him, but I didn't get on the table with him.
Yeah, I shook his hand, man. He's got his hand's like a bum cheek. He's got the massive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still like, I don't even know. They grouped up a few years ago, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Fights Unleashed, and it was 3-3.
Right.
Yeah. How do you put? I didn't even know.
Right. Hard to pick a winner in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who have you guys got?
I think based off of, as I said, I haven't gripped up with Mr. Hetamoris at all, but Ryan just felt unstoppable to me. He let me get to almost pinning like an inch away with my entire body weight on his arm, and he literally just lifted me over the table. So I was like, if anyone could do that, I was like,
There is a bit of a weight difference, what?
yeah. Well, no, we're about the same at that point.
Matt.
With
and
him,
Ryan.
yes, that's true. That is true.
Isn't it like
absolutely.
50 kilos?
Well, he's enormous. Matawaringi is
He's a
about
big boy.
165, 170 kilos. So he is a giant of a man and incredibly strong bench press champion for New Zealand and easily doing it. He did a video, 140 kilos for 100 reps. It's like, man, I can't lift that once.
I think he got 36 in a row or something on one of them.
Yeah.
Like,
He's just an absolute
I
monster.
can't do that with the bar.
Yeah. Just builds with different stuff,
That's
know.
right,
So
that's
it's
right.
so it's superhuman like strength, isn't it?
That's
so
right.
and will it translate onto the table?
That's right.
Can he put it all through his hand and wrist? That's what the world needs to know.
That's right. Well, I think with Ryan having peaked for 3 different opponents that were of elite caliber, I won't say who the mystery opponent was, but to have
mystery.
Todd Hutchings as one
Mystery.
of them that we did know about, and
Chance.
working towards him, and Chance Shaw, absolutely. So he's been working very, very hard, and he's sort of raised to the next level. I think he'd be hard to stop.
We'll find out.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And is there any other matches that we haven't named on there? So we've gone Josh Barker and Taran Broad. We've got Christian Bowes and Stephen Carroll. There's 8 in total.
Nice.
Adam Laura and Marcus Huri is 3. And
Yeah, I think we've
Mata
covered it.
Waringi is Ryan Bowen is 4, and Ryan Bowen and Lachlan Carpenter is 5. We've got Tom Demkowski and Las Mota is 6, and then there is it's always hard.
Mario and
yeah, of course, the
Mario
2
and
title
Goodzes.
matches. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mario
yeah.
and Goodzes and Jamie and Hamza. So
Yeah.
those are the 8 ones.
We've covered all of them.
That's right.
Yes, well done.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that we did hit all the bases on that. And somebody isn't sitting there going, "They didn't talk about me," because that's exactly how all of them sound.
Yes, yes, just on the phone.
That's right.
Yeah. So, well, thanks so much for coming into the podcast. Thanks so much for coming to Adelaide and being part of the AWE event as well, Josh. And thanks so much, Ella, for being such a wonderful
Thank you.
support and spreading the word for female arm wrestling here in Australia as well, and being such a great advocate and ambassador of the sport. And we'll look forward to seeing you both at the Apex Sport Fest. And if people want to come along and they want to grip up with Ella and test their mettle and see what it's like, they can do that. The tables will be open. I'm sure Ella will be up for it. Yeah. And of course, Josh, after you've taken out Taran Broad, I'm sure you won't mind sharing some lessons with those that want to know a little bit more about what it's 100%. Like to be an elite arm wrestler. So you'll be able to see both of these guys at the Apex Sport Fest.
And we won't see that picture anymore.
Ever again. Ever again.
How does that happen? This is falling apart, man.
That's great. I love it.
And on that note, that's the end of this
socials
episode.
for Josh.
Oh, socials for Josh. It's
socials for Josh. Gym Junkie Josh.
Gym
Instagram,
Junkie Josh.
And I'm going to get a YouTube together and start doing stuff.
Yeah.
We're training and teaching people how to do the press.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
See if you can get a picture to fall off the wall right at the end of your podcast.
It's part of our production values here.
Thanks so much, guys.
No worries.
great.
Absolute
Thank
pleasure. We'll look
Awesome.
forward to seeing you at the Apex Sport Fest 3. That's at the Nord Oval. It's the 25th of February. That's this Saturday. So if you haven't already, head over to diamondbackfc.com. Get yourself a ticket, or tickets are available at the gate if you just don't get around to ordering them online. And we'll look forward to seeing you. I'll be there. Matt will be there.
Yep.
These guys will be there. So we'll see you there. I'm Dave, and this is Matt, and this has been the Daily Combat Podcast.